Outlaws.
Welcome back to the Middle-Aged Outlaws podcast. We are still making our way through WCW's Halloween Havoc eras from 89 all the way through to the year 2000. This week, this episode, we'll be talking 1998, the right in the middle of the Attitude Era, Adam.
Yeah.
And I think it might be fair to say that WCW may be running on gas at this point in time. I think they might still be up there as far as Raw and Nitro are concerned. But yeah, I think that car is running on gas. What do you think?
Yeah, there's a lot of not great stuff here. But it seems weird now thinking that this is when they were winning. I'm pretty sure they are still winning at this point.
So the Nitro after this pay-per-view is the last time that Nitro beat Raw in the ratings. Okay. And that's for a very specific reason, of course, because we know that this pay-per-view went long. We know that the broadcaster in America cut off, I think, before the end of the Hogan Warrior match. So many people that paid for the pay-per-view didn't see the end of that match. What a shame for them. But more importantly, they didn't see the Bill Goldberg versus DDP match for the heavyweight championship. So they aired it on Nitro the next night. And many cynics believe that they did this on purpose as a tactic to pop a rating. Surely not. Surely not Eric Bischoff would have done that. Would he?
I'm sure I've heard him speaking about this, and he says, we always went long and they never cut us off. It's like he was, it felt like he'd been wronged. Clearly the show has gone long.
Very consistently, these Havocs have been 2 hours 45 in and about that region, and here we are 3 hours 15. So you're talking nonsense, Bischoff. And as I'm sure we'll come to discuss, there is so much stuff you could have cut out of this pay-per-view. You cannot convince me that they weren't trying to go along with some of the stuff that's on this pay-per-view. Nitro Girls included, multiple times.
Yeah.
Anyway, this is 1998, and as we always do, we're going to start off discussing the most popular horror movie in line with our Halloween Havoc theme of these shows. So this week we'll be talking about Ringu, or Ring. It seems to be called two different things when you look it up. That is the Japanese J-horror film Ring, which The Ring was based on. Shall I give a synopsis? Don't know if I have
go
one.
For it. Yeah.
Okay. The film stars, for God's sake, two main characters, plus a little boy. It follows a reporter who is racing to investigate the mystery behind a cursed videotape. Whoever watches the tape dies 7 days after doing so. And that's, who's not heard of The Ring? Probably most people. How did you enjoy The Ring? And is this a first viewing for you?
So I had seen the remake, the US version.
Yes.
The
Naomi Watts one.
Yeah, I saw that at the cinema, and I thought it was decent. This I thought was better, creepier. You're kind of on edge watching it. I like the story. It's one of those where there is no way in which I'm thinking this could happen to me, but I felt myself get dragged into the story. I enjoyed the story. I didn't know for sure what was going to happen through each cycle. I thought it had good, like, scare moments, jump scare moments, but not too many of them.
Yes.
And I thought it had quite a nice conclusion as well. I enjoyed the ending. I thought that was pretty good.
You enjoyed the fact that she was stitching up her dad to watch the video?
I did. I liked the logic of her figuring out that if she made a copy of the tape and showed it to somebody else, that broke the curse that was on the person that had watched that one.
Yeah.
So she was basically moving the curse on from her son to her dad. I did sort of wonder, could it not be someone else? Like find some convicted criminal behind bars, send them the tape in a video recorder or whatever.
I like that. I'd never even thought of that. I like that.
And she's like on the phone saying, I need you to do something for me. I need you to do something for, and I forget the boy's name. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. What did you think?
Yeah, I really enjoyed it as well. I liked the original Ring, and like you, I saw that at the cinema as well. I can recall being terrified when she starts climbing out of the TV. In the US version, obviously didn't hit as hard this time. Not only are we older and more cynical, and I've seen a lot more films, but also you know what's going to happen as well.
Yeah,
but it still hits. That bit right at the end there. I love the subtlety of this versus like your sort of usual American or British horror sort of stuff. There wasn't the jump scares. There wasn't sort of cheap things to scare you. It was more creepy, like you said, and I really enjoyed that aspect of it. I like the acting. When she wakes up and the little boy's watching the tape, I was proper gutted. I was like, oh no!
Brilliant.
And
it's so well done.
Yeah. And I think he says that the original girl from the start was the one who asked him to watch it or something like that. Is that what he says?
Yeah, I'm sure that's
the wee
right.
Boy, and the wee boy is just, he was so young and he's just on his own all the time. And he's just sending himself off to school and everything. Bless him. I really like this. It made me want to watch the sequel. I don't know if you've done that. Have you? No?
I've not. No. I'm always a little bit scared when I really enjoy a film to go and watch the follow-ups, because I always think, what if it ruins it?
And 9 times out of 10, it normally does, doesn't it? And it also made me want to try and watch the remake again. I do think it's a good remake. You know, sometimes these are things are cash-ins, but I do think it is quite a good film itself. So yeah, I genuinely really enjoyed it. It's good.
Nice.
Yeah. Did it make you? Because it definitely made me think. I want to try and look up more sort of Asian horror films. I looked at Audition.
Audition's good.
That is not what I've heard.
Have you not?
I've heard that it's like horrifying.
It is, but it's. See what you said earlier about how we're older, we're wiser. I did watch it quite a while ago, but I enjoyed it. It's brutal, but I don't know. You feel like the brutality is justified, I would say.
Right. Nice. Okay, well, I'll add that to the list. I'd like to go back and watch Battle Royale. Again, I'd always like to go back and watch that, but yeah, I'd like to go back and watch that. There was another one. I can't remember what it is now. There's Old Boy that I've seen, but I'd like to. But I can't remember. There was another one. Maybe it's The Grudge. Maybe is it Ju-On or something like that? It's called.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thumbs up to The Ring or Ringu.
Yeah. Absolutely.
As it were. Okay, I cannot go from thumbs up to The Ring to thumbs up to Halloween Havoc. However, this show is probably billed as one of the worst pay-per-views that WCW have ever done. Such a big letdown and all that. And I think I was taking that in with me, and I didn't think it was as bad as what I expected it to be. We've definitely watched worse shows.
we have watched worse shows. I would say, I think there's probably an awful lot of focus on the Hogan Warrior, which is rightly ridiculed. And you've got maybe a double disco doesn't help, maybe.
Yeah, that's true. So odd. Again, they were trying to go long. 2 Disco Inferno matches, 2 Scott Steiner matches, multiple Nitro girls that you normally wouldn't even get on the pay-per-view. Some of the promos at the top of the ramp are disgusting. We'll get into it. We're back in Vegas again. I think that's like, is that 3 years on the trot they've been in Vegas?
I think so. Yeah.
25th October, MGM Grand Arena, and they've really let us down with the opening. Since that Tony Schiavone Trick or Treat vignette, they've really let us down. We get a sort of boring slow motion video of basically everybody that's competing on this card. A lot of grudge matches on this card, which often don't really live up to the billing, and that's certainly the case here.
The sort of slow motion video thing they did, I thought felt really dated. Like, this is, where are we now? We're in
98.
98. It felt older than that for to have that kind of package at the start.
Absolutely. It felt like late 80s sort of thing. I really liked the stage setup with the gargoyle and the giant pumpkin, and it's moving from side to side. It looked like blow up type thing. It's cool. Did you like that?
Yeah, I liked the gargoyle. Yeah.
It looked like sort of big time. It made it look like a big thing that we were watching, a big event.
I had like this brief little fear that it might start talking or something like that.
Like if what's his name? Kevin, what's his name, came out and started talking to it or something.
Kevin Sullivan.
Yeah. Here we have Tony Schiavone and Bobby Heenan, joined by Mike Tenay. Immediately, Heenan's cutting a promo on Hogan and talking up, he'll do anything to defeat the Warrior. And he puts on a very weird-looking gold, very eyes wide shut mask he puts on to scare Schiavone. Nitro girls open us up. The commentators sound surprised by this. No wonder, because they're never normally on a pay-per-view.
Yeah.
And here's a good way to open a pay-per-view. It's Mean Gene at the top of the aisle. No mention of the hotline, which is quite frankly shocking. He brings out Rick Steiner. He says it's the Hound and the Pound and it's going to get down. So that was good. Immediately Buff Bagwell interrupts, and almost as, I saw Buff Bagwell coming round the side of the pumpkin, I thought, he's going to screw him over, and he's obviously going to still be with NWO.
Like, I think, poor Rick Steiner is often perceived as being a bit naive, but I don't know how he didn't. Right from the first second, he had to have seen this coming. Poor Rick, he gets right suckered in.
I like how he's like, and he's almost like, you're definitely not going to screw me over, right? And Bagwell's like, yeah, promise.
You would tell me.
Mean Gene's standing there like shaking his head. So that was a strange one. So Bagwell is going to be in Rick Steiner's corner. He's taken off the NWO t-shirt and he's going to be in Rick Steiner's corner against Scott Steiner tonight. Which takes us to our first match on the card. And according to Raven, this is a unscheduled, scheduled match.
Yeah. This was a bit of a mess.
Yep. World TV title match. Chris Jericho champion versus Raven. Thoughts?
I didn't love it. I don't know if it's a part of this. I've quite liked Raven as a performer over many years, more so in ECW when he could be, proper Raven. Jericho, I think we've both enjoyed many times over the years. But I thought the setup was really clunky, and the attempt to get Raven's a moody bastard. That's just what he is. But he seems so affronted that he's got this opportunity to win the TV title tonight. Like, Why should I have to be here trying to win this title? Which maybe does kind of play into the character. There were some moments I didn't like from a safety point of view. There was Jericho came off the apron. Raven moves. Jericho hits the metal railing, and the way his head went into it looked not good. Jericho, I feel like Jericho has maybe sustained a head injury in the last couple of pay-per-views we've watched, but it didn't look great. There wasn't an awful lot in the match, I don't think. There was quite a bit about exposing the turnbuckle pad. That seemed to be something they were going for, which felt very 80s as well. There's some suplexes. I think that Jericho get the Lion Tamer, but Raven got to the ropes, and I thought, maybe they're going for something with Raven here. But then they had Jericho kick out of the even flow DDT, which I think was talked up as a big thing. Because I think that's his finisher, isn't it? Yeah. And then I got really confused when Kanyon appeared, and I get, we're watching these kind of in isolation, so maybe you don't know storyline at any given point. But yeah, Kanyon appears, and he does he actually get involved, or does he?
Yeah, he gets up on the apron.
Somebody hits him on the apron, somebody bangs into him or something like that.
Yeah, it did make sense to me because Kanyon, we assume, is with Raven because Raven's flock is over. Raven's on this losing streak that they're talking about. But when he gets the ropes from the Lion Tamer, they're like, okay, Raven's maybe got something going here. They get back into it, like you say, and Kanyon comes out. But it's Jericho that bangs into Kanyon on the apron. Raven tries to put the slap on DDT again. Jericho just puts the Lion Tamer on. And Raven taps, like, with, he's barely turned over and he's tapping. Yeah. I assume there's something.
And they seem to be doing that as a bit of a story, but you've talked about the losing streak, so obviously the way to get a TV title match that you don't want is to be on a losing streak.
There you go.
But then they're like the announcers are having a go at him for quitting easily in the move. I couldn't figure out where they were. Like usually if somebody's going on a losing streak, there's going to be a big turnaround moment and then they'll start winning and build some momentum or something. But I wasn't convinced watching this that they really had that kind of plan for Raven.
Nah.
I think Bischoff's often talked about the fact that he did just find Raven to be really moody and really grumpy, like the character he's playing, and it just made him not really want to do anything with him.
I had a feeling that this was maybe their way of trying to turn him babyface. But then when Kanyon came, because he's down on his luck and he keeps getting beat, but then he's doing a sort of underdog thing where he got the ropes. This also felt like heel versus heel.
Yeah,
I was laughing when Jericho says, "Listen, pal, I don't really want to be here either," and then he's like,
Yeah, maybe some truth slipping out there.
Made me laugh. Jericho seems to be doing, like you see little bits and pieces of his WWF character there, the Jerichoholics. Yeah. He's got the top knot, all that sort of stuff. But he seems to be doing this like sort of guitar. I don't know how to describe it, like a guitar dive type thing to celebrate, and it's so corny, not good.
I wasn't sure. Is it 99 Jericho would jump? Would he go to?
Yeah, like August or something like that, I think he debuts. Yep. So Jericho wins. Jericho retains. I'm sure we'll both be scrambling to find out what happened between Kanyon and Raven going forward. So, NWO black and white music hits because we're in faction warfare right now. We've got Wolfpack, we've got NWO Hollywood, LWO, don't know who else we've got, but WCW people. But yeah, NWO black and white come out, Bischoff and Hogan. This is hilarious. Hogan says that he could be long-winded and give the Gettysburg Address, then goes on to cut a long, boring, horrible promo, starts talking about jumping his nephew, Horace Hogan, and he didn't have what it takes, brother. This was not good. This was awful. We say this about Hogan all the time.
I was hating this from the start. And before anything was even said, Bischoff was trying to be Scott Hall in the way he was walking out, and that annoyed me. And
nice.
just don't do that. And then I felt like as soon as Hogan started talking about what he'd done to his nephew, I thought, oh, that's going to come back later. Then okay, I felt like the point was supposed to be, if I'll do that to him, think what I'll do to anyone else. But I just took it as, oh, he'll be back and he'll, do something. And I didn't I don't know. I've definitely seen clips of the Hogan Warrior match, but I don't know that I'd ever actually watched this show before. Because you hear it's terrible. But it just set me up to think, yeah, he'll come back, everyone will be like, ooh, and then he'll side with Hogan. Of course he will.
Brilliant. That's so funny. I didn't even think that, to be fair. That's funny. The thing that was making me laugh was that Hogan seemed to get to the natural end of a sentence, and then instead of putting a full stop, put and or because. Because, brother, and awful. Then the music hits and he starts cutting another promo without the microphone, just in the camera. It's like, come on. I think you've got your extra 15 minutes in there now. Okay, from the sublime to the ridiculous. Meng versus Wrath. Wrath being, I guess, probably quite a recently departed Adam Bomb from WWF. Meng being Haku. Just two men with zero interest in watching wrestling each other, basically.
We talked ages ago about not needing to see Meng Haku in a match. He can be an enforcer type guy. We don't need to see him in the ring. And I felt like the worst bit about it, because I thought this surely won't go on very long. It'll be fine. It'll be over soon. Probably went on a little bit longer than I was hoping it would. But I felt like, are they trying to build Wrath? That's what I came away from it thinking.
Yeah, me too.
He's not going to be your guy. Everyone knows he's not going to be your guy.
That's exactly what I thought as well. They're trying to build him up. He's doing sentons off the apron, and he did a rock bottom at one point.
He did.
What was his finishing move they were calling it? The meltdown.
They called it the meltdown. Yeah. Power slam type thing.
That's just an Adam Bomb reference.
Yeah.
So weird. Yeah. Wrath wins. Pump handle slam into a power slam. Whenever people are wrestling Haku Meng these days, I just think, don't hit him properly, don't hit him. Because you'll just regret it. It'll bite your nose off or something. This sucked.
But business was about to pick up.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, Lee Marshall is at. They've got him in the right place now. He's on he's at the internet location.
Yeah, internet location.
He's with.
When I saw him, I thought, "Oh, Russ is going to be so happy."
Brilliant. They brought him back. Lee Marshall with Billy Kidman. They seem to be talking about his. They were asking him, "Do you prefer Disco or Hoovy?" Because they've got that match coming up. But Kidman looked like he just rolled out of bed.
There was a little bit of comment. I remember WWF doing this with Matt Hardy for a bit, where it's basically referenced that Disco is definitely over the weight limit, but nobody's making any issue of it. And Kidman even mentions it. He's not cruiserweight sized. And I thought, I wonder if that'll be a thing that they'll go with. But yeah, Kidman seemed pretty disinterested.
Oh, do you know what? Every time Disco Inferno's brought up, now all I can hear in my head is Disco Fever, Disco Fever, over and over. It's haunting me. Okay, so that brings us to our third match. It's a number one contender match for the Cruiserweight title. The aforementioned Disco Inferno, who is cheating the system, is taking on Juventud Guerrera. Disco's twice his size.
Yeah.
Like, it's last pay-per-view's fighting a woman, so he's making one step up on the rung. He's now fighting men that are a lot smaller than him. Maybe 1999 I'll see him facing off against someone his own size. Yeah. I loved the juice in this match. I was getting huge 1, 2, 3 kid vibes from him.
Nice.
I really wish he'd won, and I really wish we'd got Kidman versus Juventud, because I think it would have been amazing.
Yeah, it's like the tease, but they're not going to pay it off with what you want.
It's like classic Vince McMahon tactics. We will not give you what you want. You will cheer for Roman Reigns.
Like the thing that depressed me instantly, and I don't know why this crossed my mind, but obviously how many more Havocs have we got? We've got what, 2 more after this?
Yeah.
So I was thinking of everyone, maybe other than Goldberg or Sting or something like that, of everyone, if somebody was to say to me who will appear on these other shows, I was like, I bet it's Disco. I just bet Disco is on the next 2.
Hold on, let me confirm. No, I don't see him.
Oh,
There he is. WCW World Cruiserweight title match. Disco Inferno versus Lash LaRue.
Who
the Corporal Cajun? Nope. We don't know him.
Yeah.
He's still Cruiserweight champ. They're still doing that gimmick a year later. Amazing. Fair play. Long-term booking.
This is just the start of this is like his Cody Rhodes thing. This is just the start. Or last year or the year before was just the start of his journey, and it's going to pay off.
Finish the story. Or you could say finish the dance. Disco.
Yeah.
The thing that always makes me laugh is he's such a gimp, but there's always people in the crowd dancing. So do you think he's like, but I'm over? Like,
yeah,
say what you want.
Yeah.
What do you think of the match?
I quite enjoyed it. Like there's plenty in what Juve does that is entertaining. I mean, he's going to throw himself around, but I think he's quite good at making what he does look impactful, rather than just looking like it's for the hell of it. And you had the sort of quite good dynamic that he was working with a much bigger guy. So he could do, it totally made sense, the high spots he was going for. He could do a lot of bumping, which he did. I always now worry when I see like some of these moves, I just worry for their safety when he's, Frankensteiner off the top and things like that. But he seems like he's pretty, given what he's doing, relatively safe. I thought I was wanting that match. I was wanting Juve to win and then move on to the next match. But there was a slight, feeling of inevitability about it. This
absolutely.
was Disco's moment. So was it? What did he do? Was it a pile driver?
Yeah, like a jumping pile driver.
Pile driver. Yeah, but there were some nice moves. You can see it's a lot of offense by Juve that looked cool. It just entertained you. And Disco kind of trying to slow it down. That's fine. That's kind of logical. Every time I see Disco, there's something he does in a match that makes him look like an idiot.
The Macarena.
Yeah.
He did it in both matches.
Yep.
Stop it.
Yep.
Guess what match they did on Nitro the following night?
Oh, did they do Juve v Kidman?
Aye.
Oh, and we didn't get to see it.
That's unbelievable.
Of course they did.
Let's do that one on the free TV. Screw over all those people that paid for the pay-per-view.
Yeah.
So Disco gets through and he'll be taking on Kidman.
Yeah.
Okay. This pay-per-views. I thought it's funny because I was thinking about it earlier and I was thinking I actually quite liked this pay-per-view. Now we're talking about it, I'm like, what was I liked about it? But back in the aisle, Scott Steiner. What does this mean? He's got a freak on one side, a freak on the other side, and a freak in a box. Does that mean he killed someone in Vegas? Genuinely, what does that mean?
I don't know. Like, when I see him with a mic, I just think, oh no. And then he said something like, Big Papa Pump is in town and ready to pound. And I thought, well, that can only really mean one thing, but fair play to you, you do your thing.
Take a Ric Flair's gimmick.
he's such a funny cat, like such a. I don't necessarily mean funny, haha. There's just something so ridiculous about what this character is.
You've no idea what he's going to say when he opens his mouth.
Yeah.
Freak on one side, freak on the other, freak in a box. Take a look inside. It's a freak in a box. What did you think when the giant sort of just wandered out from behind him? Was he smoking at that point when he's coming out?
I don't think so. I think it's just when he comes down for the match that he's smoking. He's having his pre-match cigarette. Yeah, when I saw the giant, I thought, okay, so he's going to be in his corner. But they change it, don't they? They switch it so it's a tag match. Oh, God, J.J. Dillon comes out just to really liven things out.
Yeah.
Up.
He's like, J.J. Dillon is like, did I hear you right? That you think that you can... He's like sort of popped out a trapdoor somewhere where somebody needs a match confirming. So he confirms that Steiner and... Who's the tag team champions? Giant and Scott Steiner?
Giant and Scott Steiner, yeah.
Will take on Rick Steiner and Buff Bagwell.
Yeah.
But JJ is holding him to a 15-minute match after that with your brother.
Yep.
I was kind of thinking, so what if he beats him after a minute? Because he's like, you will go 15 minutes with your brother.
Yeah.
So, all right, JJ, so giving away the finish. We're years away from those television title going 15. Remember, we went through a period of like every year.
I can't believe I feel like I miss those right now.
Bring back Stone Cold versus Steve Austin versus who was it? Dustin.
It was always Dustin.
So yeah, we're going to have Scott and the Giant defending their tag titles against Buff, the Stuff, and Rick Steiner. Buff, or Marcus, was a bit of a tag team specialist back in those early 90s. Halloween Havocs.
It was. Yeah.
Was it him and Too Cold Scorpio?
I think he did team with Too Cold Scorpio, yeah.
Every time we have one of these just horrible promos, I think we're going to get to a decent match, but there's not many decent matches on this, is there? Right.
It's okay. We'll get to one. It's okay.
Yeah. Our next match is like the equivalent of like a Sunday Night Heat match. Finlay versus Alex Wright.
So what is Alex Wright here?
Just a big, strapping, sexy, dancing German beast.
How many do they need that are dancers?
Now, that's very easy to say, but you weren't saying that when Too Cool were dancing about the ring. I bet you had your shades on and you're doing your moves.
Yeah, okay. That's fair. Now,
no, I wrote the exact same thing. Like is one dancing gimmick not enough?
Like they're telling what threatened to be almost a little bit of a story here about Alex Wright's father being a wrestler and his career was ended basically by Finlay. And you're like, all right, okay, bit of revenge for his dad for his career being ended. But then he's dancing about. And like, come on, game face. You know, this is the guy that ended your dad's career. He's dicking about.
And Finlay's like just dripping with charisma.
You always hear like how good he is with helping people backstage, but I'm assuming it's not like with the charisma side. It's purely the technical aspect of what he's doing in the ring.
The thing is, he could probably batter everybody on this card. You get that impression.
I'm sure. There's something about him here where he like reminded me of you know, in the film Terminator 2, the Terminator that just keeps coming back, but he's like expressionless, he's emotionless, all that. It kind of reminded me a bit of that.
Nice. He's pretty terrifying. You would never have thought. You would never have looked at this card and I'll be like, pick out somebody that ends up on a Money in the Bank at WrestleMania. I don't think you'd have picked Fit Finlay. You could see Alex Wright or Disco Inferno doing a bit of dancing up the top of the ladders. Yeah. Alex Wright wins this with an absolutely disgusting looking reverse neck breaker.
Yeah. I wasn't expecting the finish there. I don't know that the announcers were either.
Nah. It'd been good if they'd had Finlay like wreck his leg or something like that as well.
Yeah.
Like, you could have a potential story there. We wouldn't have followed it or watched it, but come on.
Yeah.
Okay, it's Lee Marshall at the internet location. That's nothing like his voice, I'll stop that.
Who was this guy?
This was Ernest the Cat Miller.
Oh,
Or was his name Elix Skipper? Or is that the same guy?
I don't know if
I
that's the
think I
same
might be
guy.
mixing two different people up. It was
He
definitely...
feels very TNA Helix Skipper.
Yeah, Ernest
Right.
Miller was... That's definitely who that was. Ernest the Cat Miller. I think I've mixed
I felt like
people up.
there was a moment during this where your boy Lee Marshall was kind of stifling some laughter. I feel like he was about to go a wee bit. He was doing his best to hold it together, but I thought he was falling off a wee bit a couple of times.
Well, I assume Ernest Miller's gimmick seemed to be that he was taking other people's nicknames. He was talking about being... What was he talking about? Being the real deal or something like that, and he's like, you can't be the real deal, there's already a real deal. Just nonsense. He wasn't even on the card or nothing.
No.
It's just weird.
You're right, they definitely deliberately went long, because there was no need for this.
So Ernest Miller was apparently in WWE between 2002 and 2004.
Okay.
He served as an announcer for Velocity, right, okay.
Oh.
How did we not
Maybe
recognise
a
him?
charismatic guy.
I'm sure. Next up, another Wrestling Observer 5-star candidate, Lodi, who seems to have taken on the ECW sign. Was it a Dudley sign guy?
Yeah,
sign guy Dudley?
He's trying to be sign guy Dudley. The signs mean more to him than the match, and they were very clear about that.
What did you think of Perry Saturn's get-up?
The look of extraordinary. I mean, he's got... I don't know where to begin. Like, the beret really added something to the whole get-up, but when he walked out, I did actually say, wow. Wow.
He looked straight at the Village people. The moustache doesn't help. But yeah, never seen him look like this before.
No.
Do you know what's funny? And I think we've said this before. I think we've had Saturn and Raven. When we were going through 98, they had a fair few matches. I think he wrestled Goldberg at one point as well. Like, Saturn can wrestle. He can go in the ring, and he's got good suplexes on him. He hits a Death Valley driver as his finisher. He's really good, but he's just so wasted. So wasted.
Yeah, because when you think, I suppose, of everyone, I'm sure I've heard Bruce Pritchard saying that when they were getting the four guys, they actually thought he had huge upsides. He's bigger. He's bigger than Benoit and Guerrero. He's more muscular. He can go in the ring. He is... What do they call it? The airport test. He would pass the airport test, as they call it, which is if you see that guy in an airport, he stands out.
I think he's
somebody. Stands out from the crowd. But I assume just maybe holding himself together was a bit of a problem.
Aye, and he's went on. He's got the Tyson tattoo on his face and all that, hasn't he? These days.
Yeah.
And he had the whole moppy thing after. Remember, he
forgot about that.
He absolutely battered some job guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Shame it wasn't Lodi. Yeah.
I thought he was gonna when this was started. I've got it this early in my notes. He's gonna kill this guy.
Did you see what Lodi was wearing?
Oh, I can't remember it now.
They were like as tight as you can get, leather shorts. But like lederhosen, and they had like what did they have? They had like steel rings round them, as if they were supposed to be attacked. And disturbing. 1998's got a lot to answer for, I think. Saturn wins. Death Valley driver. Yeah. Okay. How many matches on this card? 12.
Plenty more.
12. We're only halfway through this card. Goodness
Yeah,
me.
This was a long one.
It's time for a second helping of Disco Inferno. This time he has earned the right to take on Billy Kidman, Cruiserweight Champion. first line of my notes, Disco Inferno is really annoying me, but not in a heel heat type of way, just in a, for Christ's sake, get him off the TV type of way.
Yeah. There's a point where he starts like mocking Kidman, but I couldn't tell what for. I couldn't tell if it was for being young, which didn't really, I get annoyed by people being young, but I don't feel like I can mock them for it.
Is he saying something like turn the TV down or something like that? Is that?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. It's weird.
The thing is, they mention Kidman's 24. It's not like he's like 18 or something.
Yeah.
I was quite looking forward to seeing Kidman, but this match kind of annoyed me because it was clear that I think Disco struggled to keep up with Juventud.
Yeah,
he really struggled to keep up with Kidman.
Yeah, I don't think. I mean, he's clearly not going to have the same pace, stamina, energy as those two guys. So having him be the one that has two matches didn't really make sense. It's like there's definitely a point where he's shouting, "Show me something, you punk," at Kidman and stuff like that. But then he's like gyrating on the turnbuckle and then missing his leap off the top and stuff. He just comes across as an idiot. There's one thing that I quite liked, but maybe wasn't prominent or quite prominent enough. I felt like Bobby Heenan was really trying to talk up Kidman as like a future superstar.
Oh, nice.
He's talking about he's 24, he's already achieved this and that. How good is this guy going to be and all that? He's trying to build something. I think they do this through a few of the matches, but they're starting talking about Warrior and Hogan and things like that. And he's at least trying to give Kidman something.
That's funny because they do go, certainly during this match, they start talking about the sort of young roster that they've got. They talk about Kidman, they talk about Rey Mysterio, they talk about somebody else. And this is on a card that's got Hogan versus Warrior.
Yeah.
And Goldberg versus DDP. Aye.
Yeah.
Funny. Kidman's shooting star press is always quite a sight. Very lazy shooting star press.
Yeah.
Kind of like a fish diving out the water sort of thing. Yeah. Good though. Good to see that Disco did not prevail, at least. Oh dear. Okay. Our next match is for the tag team titles. The champions Scott Steiner and the Giant taking on Rick Steiner and Buff Bagwell. The Giant's back to smoking on his way out the ring. What's the story here?
I don't know. I don't get it. Like, why are they trying to make it look like he's unprofessional? Are they trying to make it look like he thinks this is a cakewalk, so there's no issue? If that's the case, I get it a bit more. But yeah, I also thought, so they've got him coming out smoking, and then a little bit later on, they have it, well, certainly make it look like Scott Hall's going to come out drinking. And I was like, again, both those things happening on this show.
Yeah. Like this, the turn, like we know the turn is coming. We know that Bagwell's clearly still with NWO, but they don't even make an effort here. I think Bagwell just basically walks in the ring and starts punching Rick Steiner within a minute of the match starting. Yeah. And to be fair, if you take this from the start of this match to the end of the Rick versus Scott match, we're telling a story, right? Mm-hmm. And it's a good story coming out the other end for Rick Steiner, but I guarantee it never went anywhere.
The first thing that confused me, but I suppose they maybe kind of clear that up, is once Buff has turned, he leaves. And I was thinking, well, why would you not stay and make it 3-on-1? 3-on-1. You're going to destroy him. And then Rick kind of gets going and he gets some offense on the go. And he is going to go on to win this match, which gets him the tag titles, which is a story in itself because, who's his partner? Buff's turned on him and all that. But it also gets him the match against Scott, the one-on-one match, which Buff is then involved in. But if they'd just taken care of Rick in the first instance and just 3-on-1 beat him down, you never would have needed to do this later involvement thing.
Oh my God. He wouldn't have to go away and change into a suit and put a Bill Clinton mask on.
Yeah.
And then the giant goes for a missile drop kick. Now,
yeah,
right, kayfabe, but Scott Steiner's holding him with his arms behind him, right? So even if the Giant had hit a missile drop kick, he would have still flattened Scott Steiner. Nevertheless, Scott Steiner sells it like he goes flying, like he's been shot out of a cannon. It's brilliant. Rick then hits a big bulldog from the top rope on Giant.
I think it is on Giant. Yeah.
And wins the tag team title. It's a cool story, like you said.
Yeah.
The crowd are loving it. They're going mad. Oh, yeah. And then we immediately go into Rick versus Scott. Giant tries to get involved. But that, I'm like, I've got it written here. Why does that not mean it's a DQ? But anyway, Scott, I think, hits a low blow on Rick, and it's at that point that Bill Clinton comes out. This must be right in the middle of impeachment and all that for Clinton, I assume.
Yeah, I think so. There was another little bit of an ugly moment. I think Rick catches Scott as he leaps off the top and drops him. It didn't look great. It looked
really?
Dangerous. I think that was just before Buff made his appearance. But I was again confused by like the rules, because we're told it's no DQ. Or that's speculation that it's no DQ this match. That's what the announcers are talking about. But JJ has said 1-on-1. He gets him 1-on-1. But I don't get how those two things can coexist. 1-on-1, but no DQ. Yeah, bit of a mess. But I like Rick Steiner in this role. I like the fact that, there's no doubt Scott. If you look at those two, Scott turning, I think, made sense. Scott aligning with the NWO made sense. And Rick being this kind of wronged, downtrodden, but I'm going to fight guy, I liked.
Yep, me too. He's good at it. And I think we saw this in some of the at least one earlier Havoc. I think Rick's a lot better in the ring than I ever gave him credit for. I think Scott overshadows him. He's great. He's really good.
And
I was just going to say, you were. What did you say there? It made me think of something. Oh, about the rules. Schiavone says, we should just make all the matches no DQ or something like that.
Yeah.
Just so he's like so outwardly flippant about like the way that WCW's run a few times during this pay-per-view.
There's a point where Buff tries to use the ref's arm to count the 3 on Rick, but Rick kicks out. So the fact that Buff is in control of the ref, like he's a puppet, but you have to honour the fact that Rick actually kicked out. So that's where rules matter here.
Amazing. And at that point, Buff launches Charles Robinson head first between the bottom and second rope. He could have killed him. I think Nick Patrick comes running out after.
It's Nick Patrick. He's obviously not NWO anymore.
Yes, because last year he had the neck problem. Where he could only count to 2. He's looking
there had
very
also been
Danny McBride here.
An earlier ringing of the bell. Like, the timekeeper was ringing the bell, and I was like, it's no DQ, so there can't be a DQ. But I'm sure when Nick Patrick does the 3 count, the bell rings again, so that must have been an accidental bell ring earlier.
So Rick officially wins, doesn't he?
Yeah.
After Bulldog and Scott's good for him. He's got 2 belts. Do you know who he ended up with as his tag team partner?
No.
No, me neither. That kind of sounded like I did, didn't it?
It did.
My bad. No, I don't know. I don't really care, to be honest.
Yeah, fair enough.
Let's see if Rick Steiner is defending the tag team titles a year from now. Nope. Oh my God. We shall discuss what that's going to be later. Okay. Wasn't it weird that Hall versus Nash gets this big long video package and no other match did.
Yeah, that was quite strange.
This is sickening. I had no idea they did this. I remember WrestleMania 18 when it was Austin Hall stuff, and they were sort of using the Hall as an alcoholic gimmick. And at that, didn't Austin pour beer all over him and all that sort of stuff?
Yeah, that was pretty horrendous.
I didn't know they did this. This is, a little bit shameful. Doing the whole Hall as an alcoholic, or he's abusing alcohol gimmick, basically, throughout the build-up.
So that they're talking about that, and the two of them have, Hall has turned on Nash, and is he black and white NWO, and Nash is Wolfpack? I think
Yes,
is the way it's gone. And it kind of, I felt it really belittled it when they start talking about it being all about money. That seemed to be the thing that they were going towards. It was all about money.
I've had personal problems and made some bad decisions with money and all this.
Whereas you could have gone, like, if you want to, and I don't really like it, but if you want to play in the angle of real problems Hall's having, because he comes out pretending to be drunk here and holding a drink, you can basically make it like a tough love. Resentment at being told what to do. There's a story there that would come across as far more important and authentic.
It did kind of seem that that's what they were going for. Like, Hall wasn't Hall wouldn't hit him. And Hall was kind of doing the whole, like, he's still my friend, he's having problems type of thing.
Yeah.
But then, fast forward 5 minutes and Hall going, take another one, take a double this time. Bam!
He's taking the piss, he's mocking him for it. And, I suppose maybe you could argue, as he hit breaking point, has he had enough? Has he just started ranting? But, like, I was very uncomfortable with that, because I always remember more the WWF side. Do you remember what they did with Hawk?
Yeah.
Where they had him, like,
he was going to jump off the
Titantron, and then Draw's pushing him off or something like that. But like when you know it's real, I get a little bit like, I don't know how they're comfortable doing this as a story, and I kind of hate the fact it would ever be brought to them to do it. Like, oh, I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll make you an alcoholic on TV. Oh, right. Yeah. Cool.
Yeah. When we had the one-sided, Hall was just beating him up, and Nash was refusing to engage, I was like, okay, I can kind of get this. It comes across like Nash is not on board with it. But like I say, once he turns the corner and starts saying stuff, he's pretending to open a can and drink it and all that. Yeah. It's just like, oh, no, I don't like this.
Yeah.
Not a fan.
I hadn't really seen because they do the finish when they get there. Basically, I think it's 2 jackknife power bombs by Nash on Hall, and then he doesn't go to cover him. He just walks away. That's the crotch chops. And then, it didn't really necessarily seem like the moment to be doing that either, but it just walks away, and I didn't mind that. I didn't mind if they hadn't done him mocking him doing have another one, him doing all that, and Hall keeps coming at him, and he's eventually like, do you know what? Nah, I'm just going to end this, and power bombs him or whatever, and then just walks away.
I've had enough of this. Aye, absolutely. It's so funny, and we talk about WCW like this all the time, but it's almost like they have, so the outsiders, right? So how they invade WCW to start with, amazing idea. At some point, we're going to have you two feud and break up. Amazing. Think how big a match that'll be. Kevin Nash versus Scott Hall, the 2 guys that started all this. And it's just like, and it's then they like give it to a 4-year-old, and the 4-year-old's like starts drawing with a crayon how they're going to get there, and it's just a mess.
And you would think if you went back to when when they debuted, and then say the Hogan turn, if you were to say that there and then, long term, here's what's going to happen, you're thinking that's like the Starrcade main event. You're thinking that's the biggest match you'll see, but it felt buried, and we'll talk about the next match for that as well. It felt like they were positioning it as unimportant.
Absolutely. And like they almost gave more importance to Scott versus Rick Steiner, which again probably should have high importance, as brother versus brother and all that, but on a card full of guff, like this could have been the first match on the card, and it would have sort of popped a lot bigger, I think.
Yeah,
I don't know. Yeah, it sucked. Have they two? Am I right in thinking SummerSlam? It was Diesel Razor and Sean was in one corner, and is it Walter Payton's in another corner?
Yeah, that sounds right. Yeah.
I was trying to think if I'd seen these two go against each other, but I think that is that. I can't remember what year that would be. 90, 94, 95 maybe.
Yeah. I don't particularly want to see them go against each other in this era, but I can see the logic in doing it if you do it right. I think in the WWF days, I would have liked to have seen them go against. They were two big guys, two guys who were always pretty near the top of the card, not always at the top, but near the top. And you sort of had the sort of Michael's involvement dynamic and all that. I think it made sense. I loved them as the outsiders. I thought, they're just ridiculously cool, but unfortunately we didn't really get it long enough.
So I'm glad you brought that up, because at one point, one of the commentators says that the outsiders were I think they either say they're one of the best tag teams of all time, or they are the best tag team in the world, or something like that, right? How many times do you think they tagged together as the outsiders?
Oh God, it's going to be like 7 times.
I'm talking like, I'm talking WCW, then their very small stay in WWF, and they did some matches in TNA.
Okay, I'll go 12.
It's more than that.
Okay. This would have played better if I'd said, 25.
But then, if you guessed how many times the New Age Outlaws tagged together, it would probably be in the hundreds, right?
Yeah.
Hall and Nash tagged together 21 times.
Okay. Yeah, you can't really call them the greatest tag team ever, I don't think, for that. Bit of a stretch.
Okay. We talked about Hall and Nash being... Well, we didn't use the word dream match, but if you'd done it right, it could have been. And you talked about potential Starrcade main event. Here's another one. Bret Hart versus Sting. How good does that sound?
Yeah. But the thing is, it is good. They just don't... Why is this not a main event? Why is this...
There's 2 more matches after this. It's crazy.
Yeah. Bret Hart was the man for several years in WWE, WWF. Before he jumped, before all the controversy, if he wasn't number 1, he was number 2. He was one of the top guys for several years before making the move. Sting was like Mr. WCW. He was the guy. You could say Ric Flair, you could say some others, but he was kind of the guy.
Yep, flag bearer.
Yeah, and it feels like when this started, I wasn't sure how the chemistry would be, because I don't really think of these two as having matches together. But I thought, I wonder how this will work out. They lean into the sharpshooter and the scorpion being similar moves. They talk about that a little bit. Yep. There's always this sort of perception Bret Hart has a chip on his shoulder, and I think he's good at playing that guy that has a chip on his shoulder, and wants to be the man, because you kind of know it's probably a bit real.
Yeah, 100%.
And yeah, they've laid everything out. There's plenty here, and then it's third on a card behind, one of the worst matches of all time, and a bloody title match they didn't even show the people who bought the pay-per-view. But this is a Starrcade pay-per-view, surely every day of the week. This 100%. Is a main event, rather. A Starrcade main event.
So think back, like a year on from Montreal, where Bret Hart's defended the WWF title against Shawn Michaels. You can't have thought, like, a year from now, I'll be 3rd or 4th from the the top in WCW. It's just crazy. But at the same time, I think I texted you a couple of days after saying I'm still thinking about that Bret Hart versus. I really, really liked it. But I think that's just more just to do with like the state of the card, the state of some of the wrestlers on the card, and then Bret Hart gets in the ring and he's just like poetry in motion to watch.
He's so good, but do you know what caught me off guard? And I've seen him do it before, but I don't know if I ever quite hit like this when he did it. The viciousness.
Mm-hmm.
We'll get there, but there's a point where I was like, oh, that's
not my Bret.
Doing that. That's... So when he did it, if somebody else did it, I'd probably be like, yeah, whatever. But him doing it felt a bit different. It hit a bit different.
Do you know, can you tell me, I say this a lot, is there anything that sums up WCW more than Bret Hart getting in a ring and the commentator saying, "We don't expect a technical wrestling match here, folks."
What the hell was that?
I think it's Tenay that says it as well, the guy that's all about the technicalities.
Yeah, and I get they've built it up as there's a big grudge here, but Bret Hart, if he's not number one in terms of technical wrestling ability all time, he's in the conversation for everyone, I think. Yep. But yes, it's not going to be a technical wrestling match. Of course not.
Sting looked weird here. Was it because you can see his whole face? I thought he looked really weird.
They talked right at the start when he came out about him having a sinister new look, but the only thing I really noticed was he had a goatee, which I don't think was normal for him. But yeah, apparently it was a sinister new look.
I wonder. Yeah, he looked different. He's obviously wearing the red. He's Wolfpack. Wolfpack music's awesome.
Yeah.
So let's get into the match. And it kind of starts off with Bret just sort of dominating, and some of his moves are just crisp suplexes, Russian leg sweep, amazing, just amazing. But Bret, things turn. Bret goes for a drop kick for the second rope. Sting steps back and immediately pops on the Scorpion Deathlock. And that lets Sting take over. And it's at this point that Heenan says, nobody can get on top here. It's back and forth. And it's like, well, no. You're definitely just been asked to say something because Bret Hart's been dominating this match. It's really weird.
Yeah. I think it was maybe very soon after this, Bret Hart, he does a leapfrog and goes down clutching his knee, feigning a knee injury. He does that very well. I've seen him do it in other matches, but he does it very well.
He's a good heel. I don't think he gets enough credit for being such a good heel.
Yeah.
They end up fighting to the outside. I think Bret ends up, after he's played possum, like you say there, he ends up pulling out brass knucks out his tights. Yep. But Sting knocks them off him and tries to use them himself. I think the ref gets rid of them, does he?
He does, yeah, and I think Bret takes advantage of that by hitting a low blow.
Nice.
While the ref's tied up with Sting trying to get the knucks.
Something that I couldn't work out was how Sting didn't manage to get counted out of this match. Bret's got him outside for ages and gets back in. The ref's at like 4, and they've been going like 2 minutes inside. Sting inadvertently elbows the ref and knocks him down, so Bret leg drops the ref.
Yep.
That's amazing. Just for good measure. They go to the top and Sting hits a superplex and they land on the ref's legs.
Yeah.
And he's lying face down, so he's no idea.
Poor ref.
Then Sting goes for a Stinger Splash. I think they play it off like he's so excited that he goes too high and hits his head off the ring pole. Is that what they were going for?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm, right. And it's at this point that you are aghast and you're hiding behind your couch because Bret starts hitting him with the baseball bat continuously.
He's so vicious about it. Like, I'm thinking one hit will maybe do here, Bret, but he's just really aggressively swinging the bat. And as I said, if somebody else is doing it, I'm like, if that's Hogan or something with a bat hitting Sting, I'm like, yeah, whatever. I fully expect that.
Well,
But I
he'd
don't know
barely
if
be
I'm
touching him, to be fair.
well, yeah. But I don't know if I'm just so used to, good guy Brett, and even when he thought, a lot of people thought he was a bad guy, he still believed he was a good guy. He can't be justifying this to himself.
Yeah, that's fair. It's at this point I was kind of thinking, so in 1988, at this point, WCW is basically like everybody's in a faction. Right, so Bret Hart's swinging this baseball bat and knocking out Sting. So where's Conan or Nash or Lex Luger? That's me being picky though. Sorry. Sting is KO'd. Sharpshooter's on. He can't tap out.
I kind of loved, because it's heel Bret here. It's fully heel Bret. I actually really like that he put him in the sharpshooter. Like, there's no just go for a pin win because he's knocked out. He's putting him in the sharpshooter, and the limpness as the arms drop when the ref's raising them, because obviously he's knocked out. I like that. I thought that played well into the finish.
Again, going back to what you said, like I think Bret Hart would do that because he'd want to win by his signature move. Like, I need to win this.
It makes sense. Yeah.
And they play it up. Sting gets stretchered out and he's away in an ambulance. And thankfully, Bret Hart wasn't driving the ambulance or anything. Like, Sting didn't end up coming back later on. I thought it was a good match. I wonder what it got observer-wise. What do you think?
I don't know.
Wow. 1.5
really
stars.
Low? How much?
1.5.
1.5. I was going to guess 3.25. Because I don't think he would love it. I enjoyed it. I thought it was really entertaining. I thought the story was good. I thought, Bret Hart in the ring. Yeah.
That's unbelievable. Some of the other negative 5 stars. Like Hall Nash gets 1 star. Bagwell and Steiner versus Giant and Scott Steiner got 2 stars, so that was a better match. 2.25 stars for Kidman, Disco Inferno. Maybe
just love disco.
Maybe. Dave does look like he would listen to Disco Inferno's music in that like really messy room of his and do the dance. I don't know why I'm referring to him as Dave, like I know him.
Your mate Dave.
Dave, yeah. Okay. So that was was that your best match on the card? I know we've got 2 more.
Yeah.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So our boy retains the title. I just remember watching this and thinking, yeah, I proper love Bret Hart. Okay. Hogan Warrior.
Glad you enjoyed that, because we all know what's up next.
So he can't use Ultimate Warrior, so he's the Warrior.
Mm-hmm.
It would be class if he was the Dingo Warrior.
No, yeah, that would be good.
I think that is the most bizarre name of all time.
Yeah.
Lots of weird stuff in the build-up for this, I think. Warrior, I think I texted you saying that they'd given him like a 6-minute promo segment, and he ran like 20 minutes talking about Hogan doing coke and stuff. He's just, like they talk about CM Punk with a live mic. There's Scott Steiner and Ultimate Warrior on this card, and both got the microphone. Terrifying. This must, like everybody says this. They brought in Warrior so Hogan could get his win back. WrestleMania 6.
100%. Yeah.
What can we say about this? What can we say?
I had zero enthusiasm for this, right? And then when it started, as soon as I heard Tony Schiavone say that in terms of wrestling ability, Warrior is one of the best ever, I thought, no.
Putting the upside down.
I'm sorry, Tony. You're wrong. I hated this. Like, they do, like, early on in the match, there's a test of strength. So it's like, I thought, are they just trying to recreate the Mania match?
Yep.
And then, you definitely messaged me about this. They do the crisscross rope run.
Yep.
What the fuck?
I think it's Siobhan. He's like, we've not seen that move for many years.
Oh, it's one of the stupidest things I've ever seen.
You can imagine Hogan though thinking that's let's take it back, brother. Let's run it back. Because that's pretty much what a good portion of that WrestleMania 6 match was, crisscrossing and test of strength.
Yeah.
There's a funny bit after that where Hogan actually has to beckon Warrior closer to him. He waves to him to come across. And there's a ref bump not long after that as well, and you can see it coming from so far away.
It's because we thought, Nick Patrick's must not be NWO anymore, and he's the ref in this, and then Hogan knocks him down, and then he basically does what Bret Hart did in the last match, which is he just puts a little exclamation on it by deliberately dropping a knee on him.
He does. He does. It looks so awkward as well. It looks like it actually hurt him.
Yeah. And then he's calling for the NWO help, and is it Giant comes out, and there's some sort of shit show with Giant. He hits Hogan by mistake when Warrior moves. It's another one of those type situations.
Yeah.
And Stevie Ray and Vincent are out. Stevie Ray
he was Hollywood. He was NWO Hollywood. Yep.
And Warrior seems to have no problem dealing with either of them. I suppose that's fair enough.
He tries to pin Hogan when the ref's lying knocked out.
And the ref is very obviously down. It's not like you wouldn't notice.
I've just remembered some of that happens.
Oh no!
Sorry, go on. Keep going.
I think there's an actual suplex by Hogan.
What?
And then there's some belt use, which is a classic heel Hogan thing, whipping Warrior like a government mule. I've just got in my notes then, I am so ready for this to be over.
Warrior kicks Nick Patrick at one point by mistake. It looks.
I've got written, Warrior misses his splash. Hogan moved out the way about 10 minutes before he landed.
Oh, the jumping on his back thing.
Yeah.
Yep. And it's at this point that I need to try and talk this through. So Hogan's standing pretty much directly in the middle of the ring. Warrior's over one side of the corner lying down, and he like Sonic the Hedgehog rolls from one side of the ring all the way to the other end of the ring, runs out of room of where to roll to, so he rolls back into the middle of the ring and knocks Hogan over. He's like a kid rolling down a hill.
Oh, bring back Roddy Piper.
It's at this point you realise the crowd are completely dead. Like people are just sort of sitting
up
there.
For this, but no.
Hogan then empties out a wee baggie with the fireball stuff that he's got, the little bit of paper and the light. He goes to light it. It doesn't light. Warrior completely sells it like he's been hit by the fireball, and then it explodes in Hogan's face.
It's so bad. It's so bad.
Class. Good job he didn't have that wig on from last year, or it might have singed some of the hair off.
I loved Warrior's reaction to nothing, because he's like, there's nothing happens to him. He really
dives backwards
it.
like he's been shot in the face. I think Hogan drops the leg, and it's at that point that... Do you think they sent Horace Hogan... They're like, they've botched it, send Horace Hogan out, or do you think he was supposed to come out?
I mean, I thought because of what Hogan said earlier that he was always going to make his appearance. Because they're sort of playing it as if, he's coming out, he's going to hit Hogan, because he comes out with a chair. Is that right? I think, yeah. And I think you're supposed to be thinking, he's going to hit Hogan. Warrior's doing his hulking up thing. Does Bischoff distract the ref? Grabs the ref? And Horace hits Warrior with the chair, and I was stunned, obviously.
I've got here, can you botch getting in a ring? Because if so, Horace Hogan just did it.
it's here that I've maybe been a little bit unfair in my notes.
Oh dear.
I know it feels like you can't possibly be unfair criticising this match, but the ref, he's going to count the pin, right? Bischoff has had the ref, grabbed the ref. He's had him for ages. Now, last year at this very event, Larry Zbyszko was a special ref and called for the replay on the screen, thinking, I'm not sure about what's going on here because I've been distracted just before this has all gone down. But this ref never even thought of asking. Never thought something fishy here. Just thought, it's fine. I'll just count the pin. No bother.
Are you saying WCW made decisions and didn't think to future-proof the decisions they were making?
Maybe it's only if you're a legendary special guest ref that you're allowed to call for the replay.
Could be.
Yeah.
So Hogan gets the win. Shocking. Did they then try to set Warrior on fire?
Yeah, they started pouring gasoline or what was supposed to be gasoline. I think the announcers were even selling the smell of it. And then someone's trying to light a match, and then I think the security are getting quite annoyed. They're like, this is ridiculous. Can't be setting a guy on fire. Come on now.
If anybody could be set, well, the Fiend clearly, obviously got set on fire by Randy Orton years later, but if anybody could get set on fire, it'd be Warrior. He'd appear in a mirror somewhere in Hogan's dreams. He can't be long for employment after this, I guess.
Yeah.
Oh dear, what a mess.
So bad.
I think -5 stars is probably a bit harsh. Do you not? No? -5 stars. Brilliant.
Yeah, I just quickly checked the next pay-per-view and Warrior's not on it.
Oh, is he not? That's a shame. Okay. So, unfortunately for some of the American audience, they missed out on the end of that. They never got to see Horace Hogan redeeming himself in the eyes of his Uncle Hulk. Uncle Hulk. Then we go to the World Heavyweight Championship match, which has had next to zero build-up throughout the pay-per-view. Two guys, clearly Goldberg's on his streak. I think he's up. Yeah. They talk about him being 140, 150.
Yeah, they say the number. I didn't make note of it, but it's definitely somewhere in the hundreds.
I like that both these guys had really big entrances. DDP's obviously really over as a face here. But I don't think Goldberg's heel either, so that it's kind of like a face-off of possibly the two best, considered to be the best wrestlers in the company, which is quite cool.
Yep.
I've read before that this is Goldberg's best match in WCW. You imagine putting Goldberg and the Warrior in the ring together.
Oh my god!
He's pretty green still here.
Yeah, I like DDP. I've always quite liked DDP, but he's proper people's champion here, and he's really rolling with it. They're talking up the Diamond Cutter as a huge deal, and I think it was maybe one of the first times that it maybe felt like they could have gone taking it off Goldberg. It's maybe the first time that it would have felt like that. But Goldberg is terrifying in the ring. There's obviously, he's basically responsible for ending Bret Hart's career. He can't be the only one watching this.
It's interesting because there's some things that happen that you think, oh, that was legit. So it kind of brings an aspect. It's a bit watching a car crash sort of thing, because you're trying to work out, has he actually hurt him? There's a time where they go for the arm and collar tie-up. Is that what we call that, arm and collar tie-up?
I think so. It sounds right.
And they're jostling two bulls with their antlers, and they both end up flying out the ring.
Yeah.
And I don't know how that can possibly be choreographed. It
Yeah.
just looked like they didn't mean it, and they both went flying out the ring. Goldberg looks like he suplexes DDP at one point. Like he can't get him up because he's, I don't know.
Yeah.
He's probably not supposed to be doing it.
And like Goldberg's selling a sore shoulder from a point in the match, and I did wonder, is that a genuine shoulder problem? Because I think that was maybe before that suplex, and I was looking thinking, I don't think he's got him here.
Aye.
I don't think he has any control over what he is doing with DDP here.
Nah, me neither. And you know, like you think of that Saudi Arabia show where he had the match with Undertaker, and you know, like watching stuff like this, how could anybody be surprised? Because he's doing this here, and this is in his peak of his powers, sort of thing. It's amazing.
Yeah.
And you wonder, you know, like if what did they call the WC? Was it the power plant or something like that? They called.
Yeah.
You just wonder what a Goldberg would look like if he'd come through somewhere else.
Because I think they were just so keen to get him on screen so quickly that they didn't take their time to help him learn, help him develop. I didn't get the impression this guy's, you know, been on house shows doing the dark match for, you know, ages or anything like that. I think that basically as soon as they saw him, they're like, yeah, get ready for TV. Yeah, it's going on Monday.
Remember last year he was involved in the match with Mongo McMichael, and he just made a complete mess of it. He speared him right onto the ref and all that. Yeah, there's no, everything's frantic and fast and grabbing people and falling over.
Yeah,
he goes for a spear right in the corner. DDP misses, and he ends up like moving the ring 5 inches, smashing off the ring pole. I think you do. You can definitely buy DDP beating him here. Yeah,
because there's a point where DDP hits the diamond cutter.
Yep.
I think it's just so Goldberg's gone for the jackhammer but can't execute it. DDP hits the diamond cutter, and if I didn't know better, because I did know the outcome of this one, I would have been like, oh, there it is, new champ. Because the way they hype the diamond cutter, obviously at this time nobody's kicking out of it.
Yep. Goldberg kicks it like 2.1.
Yeah.
So early, it's like, come on.
Yeah.
Milk the drama. The fans
if I'm DDP,
well in
that's other than maybe getting half killed in the match, that's probably the bit that's pissed me off, because kick out at the last possible second, and that is moved to some extent protected, but I'm just kicking it easy. I'll just kick out. No problem.
And he gets up and hits a jackhammer, basically.
Yeah.
And it's over. I would love to. I really need to go and watch that match that Regal gave Goldberg on an episode Nitro, where he he taught him a lesson, sort of thing, and went off script.
Did he not get did he get fired for that, Regal?
I'm not sure.
Or maybe just another reason, because I think he had some problems at the time. But I think I'm sure I've heard him speak about it, where he's been like, I went in, I had good intentions. And then something happened either really early on or in the build-up, and it was like, nah. And he always had that slightly different style, Regal, anyway.
Aye.
Yeah.
So there we go. And they used that. They played this main event on Nitro the next night, and like I said at the beginning of the episode, that was the last time that they beat Raw in the ratings, and it. Again, another thing that sort of sums up this post-1996 Bischoff era of WCW is that they just seem to be flying by the edge of their pants, relying on everything and anything they could to try and get one up.
Yeah.
Is that unfair? That's what it feels like. It feels anything cheap that they could use, basically.
I think you quite often look at, and I suppose you can maybe see elements of it. I think there's a common criticism, which is they didn't build new stars. Now, if you look at the title match, they've actually got Goldberg and DDP, who are two WCW guys. But, you know, if you didn't know any better and you didn't know the order of the matches, you think it's Hogan Warrior that's your main event here, because nobody's really mentioned the world title match.
Yep. DDP he's probably your main one that they've built. Looking over these Halloween Havocs, he's been built from. He's just gradually went up the card as we've went forward and looked the part.
Yeah.
Eddie is another one.
Yeah, he's
and
not
he
here, is he?
wasn't
He wasn't on this.
No. No Rey Mysterio either. It's funny, but probably at this point they're probably fighting over getting on the pay-per-view cards because they'll have had that many, such a big roster.
Yeah.
No dark matches, I don't think. The Goldberg DDP match gets 3.25 stars, which is just baffling.
Seems very generous.
It does indeed. I suppose if you're watching it live, it's probably quite exciting.
Yeah.
As far as the diamond cutter and kicking out and all that.
Yeah.
So there we go. A spectacle was 1998's Halloween Havoc.
Have you looked at the card for 99?
Yeah, let's do it. So 99, we're talking Blair Witch Project, aren't we?
Yes. Yes.
So we'll watch that. That'll be a treat. When was the last time you watched Blair Witch Project?
It's a while. It's another one I saw at the cinema.
Nice. Did you really? That's amazing.
Yeah, and it was at a really late night showing. It was in Glasgow. I was visiting some pals, and we went to see it. And there was a group of us, and a couple of the people we were with got really freaked out. And I remember me and two of the other guys getting back to the house that we were all staying in, and we went out and got some stuff from trees in the garden, and we started trying to make the little stick things, and just left them in the house,
that's
two or three of them. In hindsight, what a dick move, because I think they were quite freaked out by it, but it seemed hilarious to me at the time.
It was very much a phenomenon. The Blair Witch at that time. I didn't see it pictures, and I've definitely seen it, and it freaks me out. That sort of found footage stuff seems to do the trick. It just got overdone, didn't it? But that'd be good.
There's a lot of bad. I suppose they're probably really cheap to make, so there's a lot of bad ones out there.
What was the? We're off on a tangent here. What was this? I think we watched it together at some point. This sort of snuff film found footage thing. Was Bradley Cooper in it?
Oh, what was that called?
That was quite good as well. I can't remember what it's called now.
We'll have to look that up.
Was it called Snuff Film?
There was a film called Snuff Film. It might have been that.
And he just looks at the camera and says, "Will I do it now?" And he sticks a bag over someone's head or something.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
I remember this. Yeah.
Are you looking it up? No.
No.
Sorry.
Right,
okay. We'll find it.
I don't know where to start. I had a quick look at Bradley Cooper's filmography, and I thought it was too much there.
You just got lost in his eyes. The immediate thing that jumped out to me when I was looking at, I've got Cage Match open, and I've got Halloween Havoc 98 on one tab and 99 on the other, and the buy rate for Halloween Havoc is 1.23. Do you know what that means?
Not really.
Okay. The buy rate for 98, like says 1.23. The buy rate for 99 is 0.52.
Oh.
It says a lot.
So it's whatever that means. It's less than half.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And do you know what's funny? Is that when you look back at it, it's the peak of the Attitude Era, 98, 99, but like WWF pay-per-views in 1999 are horrible.
Yeah.
They're really bad. Yeah. They've aged terribly. Like going back and watching like a WrestleMania 15, it just it's no good. But I think everybody romanticizes that era.
Definitely. I think there were good things in that, there was the whole philosophy that everyone has a story, and that's good. I think that's good. But the in-ring, a lot of it wasn't.
Nah. Okay, Halloween Havoc, 1999. So we're still Schiavone and Heenan, so we've got that going for us. A lot of matches. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 matches. So we're kicking off with Cruiserweight title, like I said, Disco Inferno versus Lash LaRue.
Brilliant.
Followed by the tag team titles, Falls Count Anywhere triangle match.
Oh,
Russo
God.
is 1,000% on the booking now.
Wow.
Would he be, or is that too early? I think he probably
might be
would, didn't he?
2000 that he went. I'm not sure.
Oh my
Well,
God.
it could have been now, actually.
Okay, so the Filthy Animals, Kidman and Conan versus Harlem Heat, fair enough, versus the First Family, Brian Knobs and Hugh Morris with Jimmy Hart.
Never ever heard of that.
The First Family. Sounds presidential. I can't imagine Brian Knobs and Hugh Morris are looking too
Just made me think
presidential.
of like mortgages or something like that.
Singles match, Perry Saturn versus Eddie Guerrero.
Oh, that could be fun.
Brad Armstrong versus Berlin with The Wall.
Who is Berlin?
Alex Wright is Berlin.
Oh,
Who's
wow. So they've really leaned into that. Okay.
The Wall.
The Wall.
Oh, I think it... No, this person's alter egos are... Gigantes, Hellraiser, Malice, Sergeant AWOL, Snuff.
What? Okay.
The Wall, this is a comment on only a few days ago, comment on this guy's page. The Wall was your standard everyday big man wrestler, except that he wrestled in a dress shirt, tie and dress pants. Not great in the ring. Okay. I'm away off. So, yeah. Alex Wright repackages Berlin. Chris Benoit versus Rick Steiner for the World TV title. That sounds alright.
Alright.
Bret Hart versus the Total Package.
Is he called the Total Package there?
Yeah. I wonder why he had to change his name. It's weird, eh?
Yeah.
With Elizabeth. Oh dear.
Oh no.
Elizabeth, what have you done? World Heavyweight title match. Sting versus Hulk Hogan.
Is that like nowhere near the end of the card?
Yeah.
Weird.
Like fourth match from the top. US title match. Sid Vicious versus Goldberg. Strap match. DDP versus Ric Flair. And then it's got non-title match. Sting versus Goldberg. But Sting's already fought Hogan and Goldberg's already fought Sid.
Okay.
Guess that's shenanigans.
Okay.
Russo is booking this.
Okay.
Yeah, it's Russo's WCW pay-per-view debut. Amazing. I think I said a couple last time. Like, I'm looking forward to watching 99 2000 because they're just a sort of unknown.
Yeah, it's I'm definitely looking forward to watching Blair Witch Project.
Class. Well, I've got Benoit, Rick Steiner, Brett versus Luger. That might be it though. DDP Ric Flair strap match, who knows?
Guerrero and Saturn, that could be alright.
Hopefully he's dressed the same as this year. At least that'd be entertaining. Oh well. Yep.
Our second last Havoc, is that right?
Yeah, the penultimate Havoc.
Wow.
It's interesting. We've done, this would be our third journey, is it? We've done 98. We did the Edge.
Yeah.
Not the Edge. We didn't watch the U2 guitarist's career unfold. But we did Edge's move from Money in the Bank to cashing in. I think this has been the least excruciating.
I mean, some of it's been bad, but there's a lot of variation. I think the other ones, you're following it basically week by week, month by month because of the nature of it. Mm-hmm. Whereas this, you kind of don't know what the next year's going to bring.
Yes. So, yeah. Whereas if you're in a year, you're seeing the same guys.
Yeah.
Every pay-per-view, and if someone's stinking, then inevitably they're going to be there. Well, Disco
Yeah.
Inferno aside, it's, at least, like you say, there's been some variation.
Yeah.
It's cool seeing people like Sting and Brian Pillman in the earlier years. And
Yeah.
so,
There's a bit of Arn Anderson going on.
yeah.
Yeah.
We miss Arn.
Yeah, me too. I assume
And-
he's retired by this point from in-ring.
Yeah. And, oh no, I can't remember his name. Zink. What was his name?
Tom Zink.
Tom Zink, yeah. And who's the other one? There's two people that are like that. I can remember.
Who is the other Tom Zink?
Remember his finisher was like a Luthes press.
Oh, that guy.
Really bad
Who is
Luthes
that
press.
Yeah. It does feel like we've come a long way since those early ones. Not necessarily all good progression. It is really different from what it was.
It is.
Yeah.
We're in sports entertainment now, pretty much.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. We'll speak in 2 weeks. We will. I'm looking forward to watching Blair Witch as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Right. Take it easy, and we shall speak in 2 weeks.
Cheers.
Ta-ta.